Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Let me set this up. Facebook doesn't make it easy.
No doubt. Yeah. When I sat down, I realized I've never done this before. I don't actually know how to do that. Let's get some little more light here. How was your day, man?
Good. Good. You got a name tag on.
Oh, right. Yeah, I had was at this somatic breathwork practitioner thing.
Oh,
So
very
kind of learning
cool.
about that. Ducked out a little early so I could get back here.
Cool. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So how does this work? Are we recording now, or?
Yeah, it's recording. I'll probably just link it to Facebook Live.
Okay.
Do that right now. And we should be good to go. Just give me 1 second to make sure. Stream. All right, I think we're good. All right. Well, thanks again for meeting with me. So we have Michael Tecku, the CEO, founder of Momentum Shake, and we just wanted to jump in to talk about the product. But I want to kind of give a little context to how this all came about. I think it was like 2023. We kind of connected, and you had the product had just come out, I think, in 2023,
Yep.
didn't it? Yeah. And then you had the chocolate flavor available, and I tried it. I loved it. For some reason, I don't recall why, but it fell off my radar. And recently, I've been kind of purging all my plastic products. One of them
Mm.
being shakers, and I was like, I need to replace this with a nice stainless steel shaker. And then I remembered that the Momentum Shake came with a really nice shaker. I couldn't find it anywhere, so I was like, well, I'll see if I can buy one. And they cost about $50. So I was like, well, I'll
Yeah.
just buy Momentum and get the shaker. And then I got the product, and I was like, and you had vanilla now too, which is my favorite flavor. And that kind of brought a lot of, because I re-looked at the ingredients, and I was just like, I don't know how this fell off my radar, because and we'll get into all the details behind the product, but it just blew me away that what the level of detail that you went into to create this product, and the types of ingredients and everything like that. And like I said, even the shaker alone is like high quality shaker. But before we jump in, so that's kind of how this all came about. And then another thing about the product is it really addresses multiple aspects of longevity, and we'll get into that when we talk about the product. But before we jump into that, can you kind of talk about how you got into health, and starting what you were doing before Momentum, and what led you to develop the product?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 20 years, and in 2019, I sold a couple companies and just kind of thought I was done. And then COVID hit, and it becomes painfully clear to someone that's used to building things that you just can't stop building things. You just kind of go crazy. Um, that coupled with everyone's doing a lot less, and so I decided to make a challenge for myself that I thought at the time was maybe slightly impossible, so I could be engaged and growing in the world. And that was to try to get a year younger. And this was, like the beginning of 2020. That's not something that was really on people's radar at the time. So I just spent really the next 2 years. I had a lot of free time, just constantly reading every book, every science study, every YouTube thing I could find on what it is that causes aging. And it becomes very clear that aging is really the root, the beginning of all other disease. So it became my goal to, like, if I can understand this, then I can understand health. And if I can understand health, I can become a better, more productive person in the world. So this is really just for me in the beginning. And There's so much that goes into healthy living, but getting your nutrition right is foundational, right? So I had 20, 30 different supplements, all measuring them out one at a time, and every morning, and I was spending $500-600 a month to make all this happen. And willpower is not a renewable resource. So going through that was like, this is a giant pain in the ass. And it just occurred to me, why can't I just make this as a shake? And so I started making like a month's worth at a time. And then I was like, oh, I can't be the only person in the world that has this problem. So then I just set out to kind of make it happen. This was also fueled at the same time. My girlfriend was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and she was taking all of these pills and stuff herself. And that was also just a major motivation for me to get it right, because I wanted to understand. And she just developed this pill fatigue. She couldn't swallow anymore. Just too many pills. I was like, okay, this has to be a shake. So that was 2 years into all this research, and then started going around the world trying to find the highest quality manufacturer of each of those ingredients. I naturally just don't trust the kind of wild west that the supplement market is. And from a business perspective, I noticed there was room at the top. Everyone is trying to make like the least expensive, highest margin thing, and I just try to inverse that. What is the most expensive product I can make? And how much value can I stuff into one thing to make it an incredible offer? And so the only way to do that and to have it not be, $600 is to cut out as many middlemen as possible. So I made direct relationships with the highest craft, the highest, most expensive version of every single thing that we put in there. And then over the last 2 or 3 years, I've built out our own manufacturing facility in Wisconsin, which
Oh, wow.
almost no supplement company does that. It's almost always third party made. Most companies never step foot in the manufacturing facility. They never even see the product. They're just marketers, to be honest. But we make everything in-house now, and that's how we've been able to keep costs and increase quality. There's really no other shortcut to it, because I'm in there all the time, obsessively thinking about how to make it better. So that's sort of the backstory on Momentum and where it's come over the last 5 years.
That's awesome. I love that story. I mean, it seems like I've noticed a difference from the initial product and the most recent version. You definitely made a couple little tweaks to it. I mean, it's still the foundation's still there, but I'm 100% on board with that drink. I mean, it just makes it so much easier. I can't stand like having a whole handful of capsules and having to take that like one by one, or it's just a pain. So by making it super easy, you just make it easier to just get that natural, develop that habit right away. Like it's just an easy thing to implement, especially like first thing in the morning.
Yeah, it's not like people don't know that they need to exercise or eat well, right? It's that
Right.
it's not easy. It's not something that you wake up and no one's got to make you have your first cup of coffee in the morning, right? You want to have that. So that was the challenge I put for myself. Like, how do I make this so simple that it's easier than whatever else you were doing for breakfast? So the default is the healthy thing. How do I make this something that you like look forward to? So the default is the healthy thing. And I think you have to make a system like that for your life, for everything that you do, where you sense resistance. The good thing is always through resistance. You just have to find a path that is pleasurable and positive and easy. And that's the only true long-term solution. So my goal is to help people be as healthy as they possibly can today with as little effort as possible, because I know that if they can continue on a positive habit for years, it's going to really stack. And me selling you one bag of Momentum is meaningless to me, and it's meaningless to you. I want you to be able to want to do this for a long time and see a lot of results.
Right. Right. Um, can you talk about, because I think the overarching goal is um, kind of the longer term plan to like live a better, healthier life, right?
Mhm.
I was listening to an interview of yours, and you were talking about a prairie that you're working on developing. Can you kind of talk about how that came about, and how that relates to kind of the goal of just living a better, healthier life? I don't know if that does, because I think you were working on a prairie. You had bought a certain amount of acres, and you're trying to develop this a prairie, and you're thinking more longer term, rather than the short term.
Right. I think to build anything that really matters or to make a big change in your life, it can start off as like a short-term sprint, but until you decide that this is a lifestyle change or something I'm going to commit to for a long time, it's just a hobby, right? So the example you brought up is I have 20 acres just outside of Madison, Wisconsin, in the woods, and about 15 of that was this field that maybe had been a farm field for a century, and someone built a house on it, and I moved in, and I wanted to return it to its original prairie, and that's restoring a prairie is a 10-year project at minimum, and you put a bunch of seeds in the ground and you burn it and then you till it and then you hay it every year to keep the weeds down, and you see nothing for like years. you know and so that's not how I've operated in my life in the past. It's I want to do something and I want results now.
Right.
I want to go to the gym twice and I want to be jacked. And for me, knowing that this was going to take 10 years, it was a practice that I wanted to take. Like, I'm going to buy this land. I'm going to be here for a long time. I'm going to invest in it, and I'm going to enjoy the process of slowly making progress on something, knowing I won't be able to reap the rewards of it for a long time, but the reward will be the process of doing it. And that's how I feel about this business. So that's why I was fine spending the first 3 years just researching and prototyping. And that's why I was fine in the last 2 years, not just growing as quickly as I possibly could, but learning everything I can about manufacturing and going around the world and finding the right machines and building the right team and putting the experts together and getting everybody on a vision aligned. Because I know this is going to be a 10, 15, 20-year project and something that I can continue to grow myself as I grow this into it. And it just changes the way you do everything when you approach that with long-term thinking. You make choices that are hard, but they're the right choices. And you just have the patience to know that if I keep doing the right thing, this is going to be good. It also slows your pace so you can enjoy the process too.
Right. I think that's key right there, is to really enjoy the process, because again, it's a marathon. This is not a sprint. So how do you enjoy the longer term thing, and know that this is something you're gonna have to work at for a while. It's not something that comes quick.
It's the
Um,
difference between like a diet and a lifestyle, right? Like what we're trying to do here is live a very, very long time. So how do we make a life? It's not about living forever. It's about having something to live for. So how do we have a life that we want to be here for? And that's where you're going to find the motivation to, you know, not necessarily eat that second brownie, but
right.
never eat brownies.
Right. Right. Um, so let's jump into the product. So the thing I noticed, and this is what really got me thinking about this, is the one thing that's often overlooked, I think, in the whole longevity space is everything's about cellular health, and how do you optimize from a cellular perspective. But there's a big portion of it that's missing, and that's the frailty portion. And what I think you've brought together is a product that addresses, from a cellular level, longevity, and improve, cellular health, mitochondria, and all that, the cellular portion of it. But at the same time, it has the ingredients that will help prevent frailty and build muscle, build connective tissue, and so it kind of encompasses multiple aspects of longevity. I don't think there's any product out there that does all of that in one.
Right. Well, health is a holistic thing, right? And diet is one part of many things. You obviously sleep and exercise and stress and your social ties all play a huge part in the way that we age. But aging can be pretty simply defined as your body breaks down every single day and your body has the ability to repair itself every single day. But if I have a hole in the side of my house, I can try to repair it, but if I don't have the raw materials, I don't have the wood and the drywall and the metal and the nails, I can't do it, right? So the main thesis around momentum is that your body knows how to do it, but it doesn't always have the raw materials. So we really focused on what is your body made out of and what are you declining in as you get older. And so we put in the top 20 things that you're made out of and declining as you get older, and we put it together into one shake. And that's the idea behind it. I know there's a lot of biohackers and scientists out there that they want to find, the one thing that's going to just rewind the clock on you. And I don't think that exists yet. I hope it will one day, but people think it's rapamycin or it's Veritrol or whatever it is. These are all things that the idea is that it alters the way your body is working. It's coming in with the premise that your body does not know how to take care of itself, and that the problem is we need to change it. I don't believe that. I think our body has evolved over a very long time to repair itself, and we're not doing our job of giving it what it needs. And it just cannot keep up with the cycle of damage and repair. So everything in momentum is at a complete dose of what you need, and it's focused on the things that you're least likely to have. And that's just the central tenet of it. There's nothing in there that's a science experiment. There's nothing in there that is going to alter the way your body works. It's going to just give it what it needs to do the job it already knows how.
Right. I think that's a big part of it is it's not loaded with a ton of AG1 is a good example. It's got like 80 or 90 different ingredients, but you think about like how much of each ingredient does it really have in there? Does it have sufficient ingredients? So
pixie dusting, yeah,
exactly. So how would you compare momentum to like a greens powder or an AG1 or something like that?
So I think that's a great question. So what is in a greens powder, right? You have they've labeled things as superfoods that maybe if you saw them on your kitchen table, you'd be like, that's just broccoli, right?
Right.
I don't know how that's super. It seems kind of ordinary to me. So they put in the 70, 80 superfoods, but that's not what your body's made out of. Your body's not made out of kale. It's not made out of wheatgrass. It can maybe extract minerals or vitamins from them, but I think any amount of common sense would be like, okay, how much vitamin C or vitamin D is in spinach, right? Maybe this is a small amount, but you'd have to have like a whole bowl of it, right? And they're trying to sell you that 7 grams of 70 different ingredients is going to make a meaningful impact for you. And I don't think people understand what like 7 or 8 grams of something is. It's a half a teaspoon. It's nothing.
Right.
And so when you divide a half a teaspoon by 70, you're getting approximately 1 to 2 grains of salt worth of that ingredient. So if you think it logically makes sense that 2 grains of salt worth of a carrot is going to alter your health, I think you're going to be disappointed. And I don't think people really understand that there's no nutritional value in any of those powders. They add a multivitamin to them. I think the marketing makes you think that you're getting your vitamins and minerals from the plants, but you're not, because it's such a nominal amount. There's just no way that you're going to get 100% of your vitamin B that day from 7 grams of wheatgrass. It's just impossible, right? So if you, and I know all this stuff because I've gone to the manufacturers and I've sourced these things, and I see the nutrition panel for the green powder, and it's just zeros straight down. It's 0 amounts of nutrients. So it is a good source for a multivitamin in the sense that they are adding the vitamins in, and it's a way to get you to have your multivitamin, and that's super important. Everyone needs a multivitamin, but that is just one thing. You also need collagen, you need protein, you need hyaluronic acid. Those are things that your body is made out of. You need NAD, that's something your body is made out of and needs to work. You need all these other amino acids that our body is made out of. So none of those things are in AG1, right? It is a multivitamin that just happens to be not in a pill, but in a crushed pill, essentially a powder. and they just make it seem like it's a lot more than that, or that it's more special than that. If all you want is a multivitamin, those are 15 cents a piece. You don't need to pay $100 a month for that. But I don't think you're covering all your body needs by just getting a multivitamin. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Can you talk about why you chose to go? So the main ingredient in here is protein. It's a protein powder, and then you have but you have different sources of protein. What made you decide on whey, and talk about the quality of whey that you went with?
Sure. I think the debate is actually moving where I thought it would move. 3 or 4 years ago, I got a lot of pushback because nobody was drinking milk. Everyone was super anti-dairy. Everybody wanted plant-based proteins. And from a marketing perspective, you want to most people want to go where the market is at. Everything I've done in Momentum ignores what the quick dollar would be. I went where the science supported it and where I knew the healthiest choice was. And there is zero comparison between whey protein and any other form of powdered protein. And it's by like a factor of 2. The reason that is say a pea protein, right? Which is probably where a lot like cassava and a lot of other things are using pea protein. You have to have twice as much powder. So if you wanted to get 20 grams of protein, you'd have to have 40 grams of powder to achieve that. It's because it's only 50% efficient. And on top of that, the rest of it's, fiber and just non-useful things. So it's half as efficient. And then once you really look under the microscope, like what is protein? Protein are essential amino acids. You have 9 essential amino acids, another 13 conditionally essential amino acids. And the unfortunate thing about plant protein is that the distribution of those 9 essential amino acids is not even, and it's sorely lacking. And the most important ones, those would be branch chain amino acids. To help you guys understand, if you don't know what that means, your body is made out of protein. The muscle, everything is made out of amino acids. So when something breaks down, say your muscles from exercising, you need to replace it with these 9 essential. The reason they're essential is you have to eat them. There's thousands of amino acids, but our body can take those 9, kind of like colors in a painting. There's only a few colors and we can turn them into all the colors. We can take these 9 essential amino acids and turn them into all the other ones. But most people are not getting enough of those proteins to be able to repair all their muscles every single day, which is why by the time we're 60, we lose about 50% of our muscle. So with whey protein, it's twice as efficient, and it's got, I think it's like 60% more of these branch chain amino acids.
Right.
So it's just not comparable. And then when you stack on all the other negatives, you're going to have a bunch of pesticides to deal with inside of a plant protein. You're going to have a bunch of heavy metals. You're going to have 3 to 4 times the amount of heavy metals because it's coming directly out of the ground.
It's a great
No,
point.
I don't want to fearmonger anyone. There's heavy metals in absolutely everything. There's heavy metals in this glass of water. There's heavy metals in every fruit, and there's heavy metals in whey protein at like microscopic amounts of levels. But we want to try to not artificially boost those by concentrating a bunch of plants into a drink and really compacting and capturing as much of those heavy metals as possible.
Right. So yeah, so whey protein is by far the most utilized, I guess, bioavailable form of protein. Then, and it has the proper essential amino acid profile that you would want.
You got it. Yeah.
Okay. And then what about collagen? So you also have, you have about,
So we have 20 grams of grass-fed whey protein, and just on the protein, not all whey proteins are equal, right? A grass-fed cow is going to be much healthier. It's going to produce a much higher quality milk, and you can see that. I went on a trip to Ireland and I learned all about this. If you guys have ever had Kerrygold butter, like you can see it and taste it. And the reason that is because Ireland is a special place. It's one of the only places in the world where you have grass nearly year round. We're in Wisconsin, the dairy capital of America, but right now it's under snow. So There's no grass. So we got great dairy half of the year, whereas Ireland has it year round. So we get all of our whey protein from truly grass-fed certified farms in Ireland. And that certification means something. That means these cows are outside on pasture at a minimum of 95% of their lives, and they meet all the European standards for animal welfare, which like exceed anywhere else in the world. And I think that ethically matters, but more important than anything, it matters because it's delivering something way higher quality to you. It's twice the cost of a normal whey protein, but you can taste it and feel it, I think. It's also easier to digest, I think. But yeah, so onto collagen. Collagen is an amino acid, again, and it's the most prolific one in your body. It's what all of your cartilage under your skin, your nails, everything is made out of this, and you lose it as we get older, and that's why our skin deflates. It's why we lose our hair. It's why your joints don't work as well as you get older. So we put 10 grams of that, which is a full serving, into the drink. So in total, we have a little over 30 grams of protein. We round down to say 30, but it's likely 30 and a half, and from multiple different sources.
Right. And so you're covering multiple aspects of, again, that longevity. You're taking into account muscle. You're taking into account connective tissue, skin health, which again, that's just the protein aspect. You're not taking into account the cellular health aspect that all the other ingredients provide. So I just feel like you don't see anything like that on the market. And then combining the two, the whey and the collagen, it was a really good idea too. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the David protein bars, but those came out from Peter Attia, and they have I think it's the first protein bar that has like the collagen and whey protein together. So I feel like that you were onto something before they even got to that. So I think, kudos to you for thinking about that ahead of time and kind of putting that into your product. And then the third thing the third ingredient I really like is the colostrum. Can you talk about that?
That's a new addition. Nothing makes it into the shake unless I've tried it for a minimum of 6 months. And it's something I saw like a pretty immediate impact from. I was skeptical at first, and then the research backed it up and the tests backed it up. And then just my personal experience, I was like, all right. Colostrum, for those who don't know, is the first milk that all mammals make. So we got it from our mothers. And what happens in that transfer is the milk has an abundance of immune system factors, growth factors, thing called lactoferrin, which is also immune boosters. It's got a zillion different things in it, but essentially the mother is passing on a life force, an immune system to her baby. It's the most nutritious thing that baby will eat in its entire life. And that's something we only get when we're kids, but it turns out that if we have it now, it can boost our immune system. It can help us repair a lot of things that just wouldn't repair on their own, and kind of reverse some things. And like I said, I was hyper skeptical of it, but I just saw my skin get better. I saw my hair get better. And I just stopped getting sick. So I was like, all right, this has got to go in there. Now, the thing with colostrum is, I'm sure if you're aware of it, it's like wildly expensive. It's like $1.50 to $2 per gram, like per serving. At least that's what it's sold for, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a wide variety on quality. So as you might imagine, the very first milking of, we're not getting these from humans. These are coming from cows and dairy milk. So it's just the first milking after a calf is born. We work with small farms in Wisconsin, all within an hour, and they make sure the calf gets all that it needs. It's recommended that they get 4 liters, so they get that first, and then we collect the rest, and that's it. It's just from the first milking. The company like Armora has done an incredible job of expanding the market. They're really well known, amazing branding. They're collecting the milk within the first 7 days. And as you might imagine, that would be very diluted and less potent on day 7 than it is on day 1. So we're just collecting in that first 3 or 4 hours. So it is about, when you measure all these things out, like the things that we're trying to capture, it's about twice as potent. And instead of a gram, we're including 2 grams. So it's essentially twice as potent, twice as much. So we're including 4 grams of this, what they call it, liquid gold. And I just think it's worthwhile. And we included it into the shake, and we didn't raise the price. So
Right.
because I wanted it to be there. And so the way that we made that work that's when I decided I need to build out my own space, my own fulfillment center, take costs from things that aren't value added to people, and put everything I can into making the product as valuable as possible.
Let's talk about the cost, because at first I think people will get a sticker shock from it. You know, it's about 75 for a bag, 150 for 2, which is 30 servings, right?
Yeah, so it's $5 a day.
$5 a day. But you know, I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? If I was to get a high quality grass-fed whey protein on, and then the colostrum, and then the collagen alone, those 3 alone would be about $150 a month. I think
Right.
Around that.
A little
And
bit
then
more, but
right. And so I'm like, it's actually a really, you're actually priced really well for what you're getting, because just those alone.
yeah, I've been an entrepreneur for a really long time, and my general philosophy is I want to be 10 times better than your current solution. So right now, if you went out and bought all of these ingredients at the same quality level, at the same dose level, you would be paying about $525 a month. That doesn't include the time for you to go actually onto Amazon and buy all those things. It doesn't include the shipping or the tax. It's just the listed price. You go on Amazon right now and you can buy these individual ingredients. So about $525, not including your time, not including the time it would take you to measure all that stuff out and make the shake 30 times.
Right.
So you're going to save about 4x, plus a ton of time. Plus you'll actually succeed at it, because if you actually had to go through and do all that stuff, you would maybe make it a month and then you would give up. So that's where I kind of get to the mental space in my head of like, we are providing a 10x value. So if you're aware of that, the price seems like, oh, this is amazing. This is what a deal.
Right.
But if you're like thinking, oh, before I buy this one individual ingredient like whey protein, and it's only $70 a month, this is twice as much. Like, yeah, okay, but you have, and it's confusing for people because they just see it as one product, and that's the simplicity and the beauty of it. But it's really 20 products that you would have to buy individually anywhere else.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Maybe we should talk about NAD. That's also the NAD precursor in there, because that's another that ingredient alone is fairly pricey if you just buy it on its own.
Right.
But you really did make it super simple. I mean, I can't believe the level that you went to. I didn't know that about colostrum, where the other brand is getting it anywhere from 1 to 7 days, and this one you're getting it within a few hours of milking a cow. That's I didn't realize that. So I mean, you've really gone down the rabbit hole of every ingredient in there. So can you talk about the NAD, or do you want to talk about that as far as like how
Sure.
you kind of?
I mean, this is the group of people that would probably understand it the most. I think we're all
Right.
David Sinclair fans.
Right.
I mean, he was one of the first books I read, 5 years ago, and shifted in my mindset that we can do something about our health and aging in particular. We don't have to. We're all aging. I'm not saying we're going to reverse our aging or anything right now, but we can slow down the rate of that. The reason this company is called Momentum is because I want us to have the energy of aging, moving in the right direction and going that way for as long as possible, so we can catch these huge breakthroughs that are going to happen in the next 15, 20 years. The idea to me is not that someone's going to come out with a magic pill and then we all live forever. The idea is that, do I believe in the next 15 to 20 years, there will be some kind of breakthrough that can extend our lives 10 years? I do. And I think that's reasonable. In that extra 10 years of health, will they come out with another thing? If we're growing exponentially, I think they could come out with another 5 to 10 year breakthrough. And so will that continue on for a foreseeable time? I think so. We might be the first generation to catch this wave of innovation. We have to be here for it. We have to be as healthy as we possibly can be to catch it. That's what I think. So Dr. Sinclair really opened my mind to that concept and the idea that aging is a disease. And the thing that really stuck out to me was his research on NMN, and it made pure sense to me about NAD being the fuel that our cells need to do a zillion things, and that we lose about 50% of it by the time we're 65. So yeah, why would we not try to replace this and bring this to youthful levels? It just intuitively made a lot of sense to me. We listed as an NAD precursor also because of Dr. Sinclair, because he lobbied the FDA. I'm sure most people know about this. Lobbied the FDA to try to essentially own NMN. So we don't list it as that anymore. I like to have a transparent label as much as possible, but there are rules that I have to follow. So I'm happy to say that here, but it's listed as an NAD precursor for that reason, not because we're trying to like sketch anybody out. It's just like this. So,
So it's actually NMN.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, but it's called, it goes by NAD plus precursor.
Right, which is what NMN is, right?
Got it.
NMN and NR. Again, I don't want to talk down to anyone. I'm sure everyone is familiar with this, but for those who are at the beginning of their journey, NAD is a molecule that your mitochondria uses like gasoline. It's the fuel. And after it's spent, it goes through a thing called the Krebs cycle, and it becomes like niacin. And then through a series of conversions, it gets turned into nicotinamide ribosome, which is so we have the biggest molecule. All of these are forms of vitamin B3, just so we understand. This is a natural molecule that's in every living thing. And that's why I don't think anyone should own it, particularly Big Pharma. Anyways, so it starts out as a very large molecule and gets broken down into nicotinamide ribosome, and then again gets enzymatically broke down into nicotinamide mononucleotide, NMN. And that is when it's small enough again to enter the cell. And then inside of the cell, it converts to NAD+.
Got it. Okay.
So when we're talking about which one of these things is better, or should people just inject NAD, I don't think those are really viable paths, because it would have to be broken down and go through that same Krebs cycle and then make its way to NMN and then into the cell. So when people say NR is better, like that's just going to get turned into NMN. And then, so I want to take the most ready form that there is, and that's NMN. Dr. Sinclair recommends a gram, so we put in a gram. Most of the company is highly, highly expensive. As you probably know, most companies, when they say they have that, they're putting in maybe 100 milligrams or 200 milligrams. So they're trying to fit it into a pill, right? That's the big unlock with Momentum, is that I have two whole scoops I can fit stuff into.
Right.
That would take 30 or 40 pills. And so when you see things as pills, you're never going to get the dose that's effective, because they just don't have the space.
Right.
Whereas we have the space to fit it in. So the thing that you also need is, I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, with NMN, you need a methyl donor to make some of these enzymatic reactions happen. And so we include a thing called trimethylglycine, TMG, at the same 1 gram dosage. Everything in Momentum has a partner to it. We don't eat foods that are like single molecule foods. When people talk about, I want to get my vitamins and minerals from a whole food source, there's good logic behind it, because if you have something in isolation, it's probably not going to work, or it might be detrimental because it doesn't have it's the thing that it also needs to make a chemical reaction happen. An example of that would be vitamin D, right? It needs vitamin K2, and then together they can do their job of pulling calcium out of your veins and putting it into your bones. If you're going to take zinc, if you take zinc alone, you'll become copper deficient. So we put in a full dose of zinc along with a full dose of copper, enough to so they balance each other out and still provide benefit. So there's synergy, there's holistic approaches to things, and that's why I don't believe in the concept of one-off of anything. that's why I have such a mission on this. Like, momentum is going to have all of these things that you need, and not just some of them.
Right. What about I'm looking at the bag here. What about the form of magnesium that you included? Is there
Right? Yeah. There are like 11 forms of magnesium, and what that means is you have magnesium. There's just one. Magnesium is magnesium, but you can attach it to different amino acids, and think of those as like cars, and they can go to different places in your body and have deliver magnesium in a different way. All of them are good. Oh, did we get kicked off there?
I don't think so.
Oh, sorry. I had a phone call come in there.
Oh.
Apologies, everybody.
Good?
I just can't see your screen. I'm sorry.
You got a phone call coming through the computer?
Yeah, sorry, it kicked my screen out. I will be right back here with you
Sure.
in just a second. I think I might need to just open that studio light again here. Oh, my back. Can you kick the other person?
I think I did.
Darn it.
Are you back?
Yeah, I am. You can see me, but it's echoing now. So I think I'm in the studio twice. I'm so sorry.
Let me.
Is that good?
Yeah, I can. Oh, you still hear it? Oh man, I don't want to kick you out of the studio because I don't know if that's gonna. Oh, there we go. Is it still echoing for you?
Right. I'm so sorry.
I only show the one.
There we go. Got it.
Okay.
Tech savvy. I'm not quite there yet.
It's all good. So you were talking about magnesium and how the different forms.
Right. So one isn't necessarily better than the other. Everything in life is trade-offs, right? So magnesium citrate is great, but it also causes it causes diarrhea in a lot of people. And the reason that is it takes all the water out of your stomach lining and then into your stomach and then causes that to come out. So that's not a reaction that we want in people. Right. So my thought is which magnesium is going to have the most upside? And so magnesium taurate is bonded with the amino acid taurine. And there's a ton of really amazing evidence right now that taurine has life extension properties. It also does a bunch of other things. It helps with your heart. It helps with muscle recovery. It helps with sports performance. It helps cognitively. So citrate doesn't really have like a benefit, right? So we're getting magnesium plus we're getting 1.1 grams of taurine. It's energizing. There's a whole host of benefits. Taurine is a conditionally essential amino acid, which means under periods of stress or you're working out, you're not going to have enough taurine or the ability to make it. So it's something that a lot of people are deficient in. So I thought it was two birds with one stone, and it also happens that it doesn't do anything to your digestive negatively. So that's why I picked that. We're delivering a full dose of elemental magnesium, and that's doing a bunch of amazing work. Magnesium, I think, might be the most important mineral that we have and most likely deficient in. For people that don't know, magnesium would be an electrolyte. You think about like a Gatorade or something, and they say it's full of electrolytes. That's what they're talking about. It's usually sodium, potassium, magnesium. Those are the important electrolytes. And what those things are doing, they're like the eggs when you bake, right? You don't necessarily always understand why they're there, but like it's essential for a zillion things to happen. You need it to finish the cake. So it's part of enzymatic reactions, and that you need these elements to finish the process. And so it's one of those things that without it, hundreds of things wouldn't work. So that's why it's so important that you have your electrolytes and your magnesium.
And you have all three. You have the sodium, the magnesium, and the potassium in there.
Yes. Yeah. So just to put, like, an LMNT would have about half of the amount of the electrolytes as one serving of Momentum, and a Gatorade might have 1/100th.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. Okay.
Usually when people are talking, like, a Gatorade is mostly sugar, which is a necessary thing for electrolytes to work. You have to have a sugar. Sugar and
To help them
carbohydrates are really, like, just interchangeable.
right.
When we're talking about metabolic state, your body doesn't know that you call this carbohydrate sugar and you call this carbohydrate bread. It doesn't. It's all glucose to it, you know.
Right.
Um, so I think that's one, like, gets treated like the devil, and the other you don't really understand. But yeah, so in a Gatorade, you got like 50 grams of sugar, right, and a little bit of sodium and potassium, magnesium. In LMNT, you've got like 90% salt and a little bit of potassium and just a dash of magnesium. So I think a more equal balancing of all those things is important rather than just leaning heavily on one or the other.
Right. And the sugar actually helps you hydrate. It helps you absorb those
Right. Yeah.
electrolytes. Okay. So I didn't. It's you have the magnesium taurate. I didn't realize that it can. So you're saying it breaks down into taurine then, and then you're getting
Yeah.
a dose of taurine. Okay, I did not realize that.
Yeah. When you break down any kind of food, right? Like, have a steak, you're going to get some taurine out of your steak. Like, it's not like just
right.
floating in there. You know, it's part of hundreds of amino acids that your stomach breaks down into individual amino acids. When we talk about what, like, a peptide is, a collagen peptide, for instance, that is amino acids that have been enzymatically chopped and cut in thirds. So that's what our stomach is doing, is an enzymatic reaction, and it's breaking protein down to amino acids, down to peptides, and those are the little Lego pieces that move around your body to whatever they need to go. So taurine is one of those things. It's super important. The evidence on it just keeps coming out. It's, probably underappreciated. But yeah, I'm trying to make Momentum as more like real food as possible. So it's a balance of, you're going to have protein, but you're also going to have fat, and you're also going to have some carbohydrates with that, because those things all need to be there for it to be absorbed correctly.
Right. So I'm glad you brought the fat up. So you have the cultured oil in there. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk about that? Because I actually use that for cooking, because it's supposed to be a higher cook point. How?
Oh, cool. You know about it. Yeah.
Yes.
It's sort of a secret. And I think oils are a hot topic right now. And I think rightfully so. And if you don't know what it is, your immediate reaction might be like, it's probably bad, right? So there's saturated fats that's going to come from, animals. Coconut oil is a saturated fat. Well, I should say all fats are blends of saturated, polysaturated, and monosaturated fats. And you're going to have a blend of all those things. And like a beef tallow is going to be almost all saturated fat, but it'll still have some of those other things in there.
Right.
A seed oil is going to be a polysaturated fat predominantly. Olive oil is going to be a monosaturated fat. And I think universally people think olive oil as a monosaturated fat is the most heart healthy, right? And I know this is super controversial, and people think tallow is let's just go with, most people think olive oil is the healthiest out there. That's like a 75% monosaturated fat.
Monounsaturated, right?
Huh?
It's monounsaturated, right?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So what this cultured oil is it's 95% mono. So what is the cultured oil? So these guys have figured out how to, what's an easy way to explain this? So when you're making beer, for instance, or bread, you have this yeast, or when you ferment anything, there's an enzymatic reaction. It's a culturing. You're taking one thing, sometimes it's fat, sometimes it's carbohydrates, and you're turning it into another, but through the digestion of these microbes. So in the terms of alcohol, they're taking sugar and turning it into alcohol, right? What these guys figured out is that they found a strain that will turn sugar into fat. And it's just simply that simple. So they are taking sugarcane, organic sugarcane, which is the fastest, easiest to grow crop in the world. So they're thinking about it from an environmental perspective, and they ferment it and it turns into fat. And that fat happens to turn out to be completely pure, 95% monounsaturated fat. So I would say it is arguably the most heart healthy out there. It also has the benefit of having an incredible smoke point. That's not relevant for the case of momentum because it needs to stay cold. But like in your situation, you're cooking with it. If you were to cook with olive oil and you put heat on it, it would immediately burn at above, I think, 320, 350, and it would turn rancid and be full of carcinogens. Not good. This is well over 450 degrees, so you can fry with it, just really sizzle up your steak, and it won't break down in that sense. I'm really excited about it. The evidence behind it's fantastic. It tastes good. Um,
And
nobody was putting this into a shake. It's almost
no,
universally always coconut oil,
right.
and that has several downsides. One, it is quite a laxative at too high of a dose, and it's saturated fat, and a lot of people have a problem with that. And I think there's enough evidence for it to be there might be some truth there for
Right.
saturated fats and heart health. I don't know enough about it. I don't think anyone knows enough about that, but we do know that monosaturated fat is really good for you. We know that polysaturated fats from seed oils, probably not very good for you. So I was just really excited about it.
How do they make it into a powder?
We do. No one else in the world does it.
Oh,
Yeah. So a lot of momentum was innovation on my part. And just, I really try to approach everything like, how would Elon Musk make this? He would start with first principles,
right.
and he would like, what is the cost of the raw good? And how would I make this in a way that is better than everything else out there, but also for less? So I was talking with the founder of Zero Acre is the cultured oil.
Right.
This is the brand name. I was talking with the founder, and I was like, man, this really sounds like it hits everything. That's true of nothing, right? There are always downsides to stuff. What is the negative to Zero Acre? It's like, oh yeah, it's like 5 times the cost. Great. I do not care. That's fine. I will pay 5 times if there's an option for something to be the best. So do you sell this in a powdered version? He's like, no. I was like, okay, I will save the money by making that system possible. I will add that value. And instead of paying someone else to turn coconut oil into a powder, we'll do that. And so the delta between those two things makes them roughly the same cost for us. It's still a little bit more expensive, but we can have something that's, 5, 10 times higher quality. And by bringing it in and we do all the value add, we can pass that savings on to the customer. Turning things into a powder might sound really complicated, but it's not. You just take something liquid and you spray it onto fiber, and then the fiber absorbs that.
Okay.
So we've got 8 grams of fiber from something called sun fiber. Are you familiar with that, Troy?
Yeah, a little bit, but maybe talk about that because I don't think it's common, a common fiber, right?
No, most fibers are from like acacia or what's the psyllium husk.
Right.
The easiest way to explain kind of what fiber is, there's soluble and insoluble. Insoluble would be like bran, like the roughage your parents used to talk about. Kale, insoluble fiber, which means your stomach can't break it down, and it's just going to pass through you mostly undigested. That's going to imagine your digestive tract is like traffic, freeway, right? We want it to not be going too slow or too fast. We want it to be like the right speed. And the reason that matters is we want the enzymes in our stomach to have a chance to break down and extract those amino acids, extract those nutrients in it. They have enough time to do that. So if it's going through too quickly, you're going to be malnourished. Now, if it's going too slowly, they're going to have too long to eat, and they're going to create a bunch of gas and bloating in your stomach, and they're going to have a chance to climb up out of the lower where they should be and into the upper, and then they're going to take over. And that's where people talk about candida or
SIBO.
SIBO. Yeah, that's what that is that you've
Right.
backed up the system so much that you're getting bacteria where it shouldn't be. And then it's really turning, it's got way too much food and it's turning everything into gas, right?
Right.
Not cool. That leads to a zillion other problems. You get leaky gut, which is where you have partially undigested food uh, going into your bloodstream. If you have like SIBO or any of these other symptoms that you could just put under the umbrella of IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, you're going to have constant inflammation. And that means the inside of your stomach is going to be red and raw and sore, and that's going to like open up and allow for things to come through. And the reason that's so terrible is, take gluten, for instance. Most people think they have a gluten intolerance. And what's happening really is an autoimmune reaction. The gluten protein is escaping out of your stomach into your bloodstream, and something your immune system is seeing it, and it's not treating it like gluten, because gluten has the same shape as a lot of viruses. And it's not a virus. If you digest it normally and you have a good, it's fine. We've been eating it for tens of thousands of years. It's only now when people eat way too much, they have messed up stomachs, that this gluten is escaping to your bloodstream. There's a biomimicry happening. And now you're having an immune reaction causing even more inflation in your body because it's thinking there's just tons of viruses and it can't tell the difference. So nothing is going to get healed in your body if your body's freaking out all the time, having autoimmune disorders,
Right.
and causing chronic inflammation. So everything has to start in the gut, and having the right fiber is super important. So I went around the world again, studied what are the most important or the most beneficial ways to heal your gut. And fiber is one of those things. There is a long chain fiber, short chain fiber, and a medium chain fiber. And as you might imagine, a long chain takes longer to break down, and therefore it would take longer to get through your stomach. A short chain, just the opposite, eats it up real quick, shoots it out. So when you're taking a laxative or something to stop that, you are taking a long or a short chain. It's like you're just controlling the traffic.
Right.
What sun fiber is, it's one of the few soluble fibers. You can absorb it entirely. It dissolves in water. It's a medium chain fiber, which the idea is that over like 2 to 4 weeks, there may be a transition period because a lot of us have pretty messed up stomachs. But after 2 to 4 weeks, we're going to get you on a new path and you're going to become super regular. And instead of going 3 times a day or once a week, now you're going to go once a day, probably at the same time every day. And it's all of a sudden going to be like, oh, that's really healthy. That is foundational health, right? Nothing gets healed until the gut gets healed. So once you get that track right, now you're absorbing all your nutrients. Now you don't get bloated anymore. Now you don't have inflammation. Now you don't have autoimmune reactions because of the meal you just ate. I'm sure a lot of the listeners here are like, or every time I eat a pizza or every time I eat this thing, or just trying to do a basketball here. There's no way you're going to be long-term healthy until you fix that. That needs to be like your top priority. This is one way to do that. We also include digestive enzymes. These help break down. There's enzymes for everything, and we naturally make them. But of course, we lose them as we get older, right? So there's one for helping break down fat. There's one for breaking down proteins, one for breaking down carbohydrates. So we put a blend of them at a full dose. So if you were to go out and buy a digestive enzyme, there'd be about 350 milligrams of a blend in there.
Right.
Some companies put in a digestive enzyme blend, but maybe it's like 25 milligrams or 50 milligrams because it's super expensive. But it's in there at a full dose because I want you to have, I want you to feel good after having momentum. And there's a bunch of stuff in there, so your stomach needs the support. And it's just, we lose them as we get older. The other thing we have in there for gut health is a thing called L-glutamine. We put it in at a full dose. It's 3 grams. And that has been clinically proven. It's an amino acid, right? It has been clinically proven to help heal the lining of your gut and reduce leaky gut. So everything is in there for a purpose. Everything is in there because your body used to make it, and now you don't have as much of it. Yeah, so that's, sorry, I'm going on a lot.
No, this is awesome. I know we're at time, but I want to thank you for putting this together. I think it's the best product out there. I don't even want to call it a supplement because it's like you created a new food. I mean, you've got everything in there as far as, like you said, healthy fats, great source of protein, collagen, healthy carbohydrates, and then all the other vitamins and minerals and everything else that you got in there. So, I mean, you really you took the time to really put a great product together. So I really appreciate you putting something like this together. I mean, this is like a solution that a lot of people I think are looking for.
Yeah, I hope so. And I'm going to stay dedicated to always trying to improve this. There's still so much for us to improve. I get really fascinated about it. I don't think I'm ever going to sell this company. I think it's going to keep me really occupied for a long time and growing as a person. And wasn't going to start another company ever again. And so the thing that got me to do it was a personal commitment to myself that I was going to try to make my masterpiece. And I thought about that, thinking that this was going to take me 10 or 15 years till I was like, yes, I got it. And I thought about that. I was at the Da Vinci Museum in France, and I learned that he worked on the Mona Lisa for like the last 15 or 16 years of his life. He just took it with him everywhere and would just like work on it just a little bit. And I was like, I want to be that dedicated to something. I want to put all of my intention and focus into making something as good as I possibly can and making the economics of it work on the back end. So that's the thought that I put into this, and I'm open to everyone's feedback, and we're always trying to make it better. I think it's gotten twice as good as since you got that first bag of it. So
yeah,
we're not done yet.
And the flavors are on point. I mean, you've really done a great job with the flavors too, because you're using real. It's not like natural flavor or even artificial flavors. You're using like real flavor.
Right. Yeah. It's sort of insane what we're trying to do. I didn't want to make any compromises. That was part of like a masterpiece should have no compromises, right? So the way that this works for almost everybody else is that vanilla is like, I think, right up there with the, like per kilogram with the cost of gold, right? It's insane. And so what most people do is that they make a thing called a natural flavor, which means that it comes from planet Earth, but it's not the thing, right?
Right.
So like vanilla flavoring would come from wood pulp, and they would break it down with a bunch of harsh chemicals, a wood pulp, and extract all the flavonoids. And one of those flavonoids is called vanillin, which is chemically similar and will trick your tongue into thinking that this is vanilla. 1/1000th the cost and infinitely abundantly available. So I just didn't want to do that, right? Same thing with chocolate. Chocolate, wildly expensive comparatively. Most people use natural flavors. The good companies use natural flavors, I should say. The even less expensive version of that is an artificial flavor and then like a food dye, right?
Right.
That is how a lot of the food system works, is they use chemicals that would mimic those flavonoids. And those are 1/100th the cost of those. And you can put in like just a few drops of those. And then you can have a flavor that's super intense that mimics those chocolate, but you can also taste the chemicals. So my commitment was, we're not going to use any preservatives. We're not going to use artificial. We're not going to use anything that would have natural in quotes. It's going to be the thing. So the only way for us to do that is like, I directly source vanilla beans from Madagascar, and we do the extraction ourselves. So we make Momentum vanilla. It's outstanding. It's taking me a very long time to perfect that process. And as you imagine, like time is the secret on that. You got to let stuff sit for a long time to extract correctly. And with chocolate, that's a process I haven't taken on because it's a craft, it's an art. So I reached out to a company called Guittard. I might be butchering it. Guittard, I think it's Guittard. It's French. Anyways, it's the highest quality cocoa that you can get here in America. It's they're out of San Francisco. It's a family company, 5th generation. They've been there since the 1850s, and they're just masters at it.
Wow.
I've tried hundreds of cocos, and there's just nothing compared to this. So this is a single origin cocoa, which means it comes from one farm, and it's like their premium cocoa. Everything, like you can have good coffee beans and bad coffee beans, good wine, bad wine. This is their premium single origin, the most expensive cocoa they have. It's just outstanding, and we put in a whole lot of it. And that's it. That's the secret is real premium cocoa. And then for a sweetener, we're using organic coconut nectar, which is the least processed sugar I could find that was real. And I know like David Barr is using allulose,
Right.
which I don't know what that is. I don't think most people know what that does to you on the long term. It's mimicking sweetness, but it's insoluble, so your body can't break it down. I don't want to play experiments. People have been having carbohydrates and glucose and sugar since we could walk upright. And I think the key to that is moderation. So we're using 3 grams of organic coconut nectar, which is like maple syrup, but from
Right.
coconut
It has
trees.
a great sweet flavor to it. It's like
Yeah, it's similar to brown sugar,
right.
and they don't do anything to it. Like a table sugar, you would extract from sugar cane, and then it would go through a refining process, which is drying and then separating the malt from the sugar. This is just they take the syrup and they dehydrate it, and that's it. So it's zero processing. It's got a lower glycemic index. Tastes like kind of like an unprocessed brown sugar. And I think it pairs really well with our chocolate. So that's what we got
Awesome.
working there for the flavor.
I love it. I love it. Last question, real quick. When you open this, should you put it in the fridge, or is it better to put in the fridge after you open it?
Everything is dehydrated, right? It's a powder, so it's shelf stable for over a year. That said, I think all food is better in the fridge, right? So the thing that would make like a whey protein taste funny is heat. So if something starts to taste sour, like any whey protein, if you leave it in the sun, you leave it in the heat, leave it in your car, it's gonna like, oh, that smells a little funky. So that intuitively says to me that keeping this in a dark, cool place is the best. A dark, cool place is the fridge, but it could also be your cupboard or whatever you want. I keep mine in the fridge after I open it, but it's different when it's airtight and sealed. So
Right.
I think it's fine. So, but after you open it, yeah, keep it in the fridge. You don't have to, but it's
I'm
better.
thinking from like the NMN, if it's more stable if you have it cooled than at room temperature.
We're using the absolute best NMN manufacturer in the world. It's 99.8% pure, and it's shelf stable for 2 years. And that's their manufacturing genius, figuring out how to make that molecule not break down. Because that was a problem for a lot of companies, is they would make it and they would test it, and then like
Right.
3 weeks later, it would have broken down and just become powder. This we test. So I trust our manufacturer. They're absolutely been working with them for years. I trust them, but I also test them. So
Trust but verify, right?
correct, yeah, and I do that with our own factory, and I think you should do that too. You may have watched this and like, this guy seems like he's a nice guy, like, but you should verify it, right? So
Right.
we have a third party company test this. They're the best third party company in the world. They have labs all over, so we work with them, and then they send us the results back, and we post them on the website. We try to do that every month. We test for mold, toxins, bacteria, yeast, anything like that, and we also test for heavy metals. Cocoa has heavy metals in it, right? It's a plant, right? So the way that works is you have ground, things grow out of the ground and they absorb nutrients out. So some of those things can be hot, right? They can have more heavy metals than others. Ours has less than a glass of water would have, less than an organic apple would have, but they're still there. So when you go on there, you'll see like, oh, this has got 20 micrograms of arsenic in it. And some people are like, holy crap, because they've probably never looked at a
Right.
lab test before. But to put that into perspective, what that means is that's in a parts per billion, and in a per serving, it would be like 2 micrograms, which means that it is 2 of a billion parts. And that would be over a liter of water. So there'd be a billion parts in a liter of water, and that would mean 2 parts of that a liter. I don't know if you don't know what that is. Like
it's a really small
a lot of
amount.
water,
Right?
Um,
Small amount of heavy metals in there. Then
yeah, not just a small, probably less than anything else you're putting in your body.
Right.
Small, definitely less than almost every other supplement in the world. Small.
Right.
And that's because we are sourcing all this stuff from the highest quality people, and we're just the only ones putting the test up to show it.
Right.
So yeah, I just want to make sure that people understand the context of that and not freak out. There's like literally heavy metals in the air you're breathing right now, and
Right.
that's okay. It's that your body is equipped to deal with this stuff and filter it out. It's if you're having 100x that every day, that would be really terrible.
Right.
We want to avoid those, and those things do exist because you're talking about concentrated supplements, and you're taking all this stuff and like amplifying it, right?
Right. Right. All right. I mean, I could talk to you about this for ever, honestly, because I love the product. Again, thank you for putting this together. Thank you for talking with us. Really appreciate it. Maybe we'll have a part 2 because I had a couple other questions I want to dig into, but I know we're over time. So
I got nowhere to be if you want to keep chatting.
I can't. I got to drop, but I really appreciate it.
All right. Happy. If anyone has any questions in the chat, I'll pop in later and answer them for you. All right.
Sounds good, Michael. Take care. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Troy. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Bye.